sound working? We are ready to go. So, typically I wouldn't really do a little car talk because usually I wouldn't drive to this gym. It's only a second away from where I live. But I gotta go on a little bit of an errand after the gym, after this ideally magnificent chest and side delta day. So, not just chest and shoulders. I was talking about this last chest day. I think I've kind of been doing a little bit of a unnecessarily large lift by doing chest and shoulders together. Not that it's like an insane combination, but really, let's think about this. So today, the last couple of days, I've been doing chest and shoulders. Shoulders being side delts and rear delts. And tomorrow, I only do back. Just back. So that means that today, I'm going to go into the gym and do 24 total working sets. Because I'm going to do 8 for chest, 8 for side delts, and then 8 for rear delts. I used to do 11 for everything. I'm trying to lower the volume, see how it feels. So, I mean, 8's kind of arbitrary, but it's a number where by the time I've done that many hard sets, I feel like I did enough and I got a good pump. So, that's kind of how it's, based on. Around there, I think is probably right. But so getting back to that, 24 sets in one lift, and then 8 in the other. It's not like there's anything special about doing rear delts and side delts on the same day, apart from just having a big shoulder pump, which is kind of nice. But honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, the back the back pump check would probably be even freakier with a rear delt pump. Maybe I've been missing out on some extra width at the top end of my lat spreads, at least during the posing session. So, but apart from any of those sort of benefits, then it's just a little bit more of an even workload. I used to do a split where I used to do the Arnold split for a while. I still wouldn't do shoulders because I do shoulders kind of sparingly because they're kind of overdeveloped. But I would do legs, chest and back, and then arms. So leg day, that's pretty good. 2 pretty solid muscles, but it's legs. That's just part of the deal. And then arms, 2 small muscles, so still not that crazy. But chest and back, I just found that it ended up being a little bit too much. Like I'd do chest, and chest would be sweet. The chest workout would be perfect because, I did chest first. And then by the time I got to back, I was already kind of fatigued. The pump wasn't really there. And that's really your whole torso all at once. So now I split it up. So instead of repeating that split every 3 days and doing legs, chest and back, arms, and then the next day go right back to legs again and repeat the loop, now it's got an extra day in it. Legs on their own, then chest, side delts, then back and rear delts, and then arms, if you were curious about the current split. Which honestly, it kind of seems like a silly question for you to ask. Because if you look at the upload schedule, that is the split. It's just a lift after lift after lift. I guess that depends on your pattern recognition skills. But as long as you hit every muscle group about twice a week, I'd say that's pretty much the ballpark you want to do. No point overcomplicating it. It's like if you go hard, you'll get the same results from doing push-pull legs or Arnold split. I think it gets a little weird if you're going full body. I'm not inclined to want to do a full body workout, apart from maybe just for general athleticism and staying active. In a bodybuilding context, I want to go in here and just thrash specific muscles on a specific day. But plan for chest, I would love to do incline Smith machine as the opener, but they got rid of a bunch of old equipment. And, I'm kind of ticked off about it, because they had these 2 old Smith machines and they didn't have any counterweights. So it was just the bar on the rails, which is perfect. That's my favorite kind. Just super smooth, whatever. And then they also had this really old pec deck. The old machines, they knew what they were doing when they designed them. Right? I feel like I guess now I'm just freaking roasting of gym equipment companies. But to an extent, I think they're kind of trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, I'm not saying there aren't cool new machines. Like, I try new shit and I'm like, oh, I've never seen this before. It's badass. But, you know, when you got a pec deck and the seat is like moving up and down as you do the rep, and there's cables upon cables just on pulleys, it's like you don't have to overcomplicate it that much. That's more of just a personal take, though, you know. And sometimes those machines feel good, so it's kind of just a piece of equipment to equipment basis on that note. On that freaking note. So I'm kind of just driving in circles before I actually get to the gym. Because before I got in the car, I just slammed the pre. I did 2 scoops of the strawberry kiwi bloodshot, and then 1 scoop. Yeah. I mix up the name. And then 1 scoop of the bubblegum hostility. Honestly, not that bad. Not that, I mean, you got to think both of them are like kind of a sweet fruit flavor. It's not like they're on complete opposite spectrums of taste. Just a little bit. It was just kind of hard to pinpoint exactly which one was tasting like what, you know. But again, I say this every time. I'm not really into just in general, the flavors, whatever. That's just for your own enjoyment. I'm really here for this citrulline. What? I just drew a huge blank on pre-workout ingredients. You get the gist. You get what I'm trying to say here. So I'm gonna go in there and do my little. So I'll just explain it. I'm not gonna actually record it, just because it's kind of a long process. But pre-chest for warming up my shoulders, I'll always sit on just a cable stack. You know, do some rotator cuff activations, push downs to make sure my elbows are a little bit warm, do some forearm wrist curls like that to get my forearms warmed up to hold on to whatever weight I'm about to move. Do a little bit of rowing actions just to kind of warm up my lats, my upper back. You know, if you're a power lifter, I'm sure you love hearing that shit. Getting your scapular retraction, stuff like that. But, you know, once my shoulders are all warmed up, we will jump into whatever that first working set is going to be. I have a pretty strong prediction, but depending on how packed the gym is, it may change. So I guess let's just find out in a second. After a proper shoulder warm-up, I did a plate for a few, 2 for a few, 3 for a few. I tried 3 plates and 2 10s, so that's 355. That felt a little too heavy. So I think 335 will be a good starter weight. 3 plates isn't supposed to feel this heavy, man. This cut is hitting me. Okay. Let's drop it to 3 plates.
Damn it! Dude, I know, I cramped in my calf. Why? Dude, that's so annoying. I could hit that. I swear to God. One more time, but I'll do it. So annoying. I'm never doing it.
Let's do one more with 3. Let me show you the process of re-racking this shit too. It really takes forever to unload this fucking weight every time. Perfect. I was thinking about turning that into a drop set and just re-racking it before that last rep and going down to 2 plates. But honestly, I kind of think the drop sets are sort of fluff work. You know, maybe at the end of this other workout, I'd be more prone to do some just to really finish off the pump. But I'm kind of inclined to think that straight sets are probably the way to go, at least for most of your work. Let's go on, play. All right, I think just a normal set of pec flies should suffice right now. Okay. All right, that's actually a little too light. I'll come back to this later. Let's go do some kind of pressing movement. I was kind of talking smack on this chest press last time I used it, but I just did a feeler rep, and the squeeze was sweet. Maybe I just had the arms at the wrong depth or the seat wrong, but I think just a straight set with not the stack, but close to it, should be perfect. Should be pretty much perfect. What am I even talking about? Okay. Let's go a little lighter. Do 2 more. Okay. 1 more. Okay. All right. Let's just do 1 set of cable presses and then chest is done. So last set, luckily was able to get a hold of 2 cables at once. This is like a fucking eclipse in terms of its rarity. But by the end, I mean, by now I'm not really going for weight. I'm really just trying to squeeze, get a full pump, and then we can go check it out. Just by feeling, I know it's going to be pretty good. Okay. All right. Let's go check the pump, man. We're done. Well, we're done with chest. All right, so after only 8 sets of chest total, let's see what kind of pump we got. You know, back in my early days, I bring this up sometimes. As a beginner lifter, I was doing 25 sets of chest. I can almost guarantee I had my peak pump at around 10 sets But then I just kind of did a bunch of extra fluff work for no reason. You know, it's not like I don't like being in the gym, but I want to make my workout as efficient as possible. So there's no need to be in here for more than like 15 sets for a single muscle group. That's for sure. So let's see what we're looking like pump wise. I actually had a conventional bodybuilding meal. I prepped it for one of my classes. It was steak and rice. Can you believe it? It wasn't just a bowl of cereal. But again, I don't care that it's steak and rice. I only care that it had like 60 grams of protein, 80 grams of carbs, and some fats. Oh my God. Oh, dude, I'm starting to get some fucking ab veins. Oh. That is a fucking brutal pump, if I've ever had one. And I think you know I have. Let's see, what other poses are there even? No. And remember, we've got 4 more weeks left to cut. And this is only halfway. We're only at the halfway mark. So, only more to come. Dude, the shoulder striations are already crazy, and they're not even fucking pumped. Dude, killer. So, let's just go spam side laterals, and then we can get out of here. Okay, let me do one more. Let me get one more side chest. Okay. All right, now, now we can go back to the workout. Shoulders, I am going to simplify to the nth degree. So I'm just going to sit here for all 8 sets, and then we can go back and check the pump. So we just saw shoulders unpumped. You know, 8 sets of these machine lateral raises. Side delts should be fucking burning at the end of it. Just, like, honestly, with a good shoulder pump for me, it's almost just uncomfortable to even stand. So I'll just, how about this? I'll show the first set in its entirety, splice a couple clips of the next 6, and then show the last set in its entirety. And then we go check the pump. No real need for commentary in between, you know, just burn, you know, let it burn out. Try not to use your traps too much. That's all I got to say to anybody doing side delts. Okay. All right. 7 more. I mean, does that look that hard for a solid shoulder pump? It's really not that much effort, dude. Not that I think anybody complains about a hard shoulder day, but you get my point. Okay. All right. I think side delts have been sufficiently thrashed. Let's find some good lighting and check them out. Okay, let's check these shoulders out. There's nobody changing next to me. Come on. My go-to lighting spot was taken. I don't know, something about that little room is just, it just has a calling to have people walk dumbbells over to that little area to do a dumbbell workout. Personally, I can't relate, but I guess do whatever you want to do. You know, this is a shared space, so it's not like anyone is entitled to any specific area. regardless of training level. If you catch, you get what I'm, if you understand what I'm getting at. So let's just run through a couple and then we get out of here. Ooh. All right, last one. Oh, okay. Let's get in the freaking car, man. We are done. All right. So I'm now back in my civilian attire. I found a sick pair of jeans at Goodwill. It's something about either I don't understand if it's like a time period thing, but now when you get jeans and like you find like you get a real baggy pair of jeans, they're huge at the waist, but they taper down so much at the ankles. Like that's not the look I'm going for. You know, I kind of like the carpenter pants. So these ones are going to last me at least a while, I hope. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping after the next bulk they'll be too tight because they've definitely got some play in them now. But that was a pretty freaking solid chest day, if I tell you what. I'm definitely starting to feel the deficit on that incline bench for sure. 3 plates was feeling kind of heavy. One thing that gets me too, typically when I go into a deficit, is my forearms will tend to get a little bit more tight than usual. You know, and I don't mean just like, well, I guess really I kind of mean right in here, like right in this little brachioradialis. You know, I can't really be bothered to learn all the names of everything apart from the basics. But you know, right in here, this kind of forearm, like if you do a reverse barbell curl, right, the main mover, like right where that kind of ties into my elbow, that'll get a tad bit tender. But really, all I end up having to do is just, you know, do some warm ups of the area. So like before I did any sets of even just one plate, trying to warm up for that bench, you know, I was sitting on the dumbbells doing some reverse curls, doing some rotator cuff stuff. I'm not inclined to believe that like you hold a dumbbell. I don't think doing this really does anything for you. Now this motion here, that I can get behind. That definitely gets your rotator cuff working. So yeah, apart from that warm up, and then feeling a little bit of tenderness in my forearm-ish area, that was a good ass chest day. That machine was good too. I'm kind of surprised how much I liked it. You know, because the last time I did it, I really just did not care for it at all. I think maybe it was just my execution. Because well, I don't remember. The last time I was there and did chest and did that machine, it had to be weeks ago. But something about it today, I really kind of emphasize actually like locking out and really getting an extra squeeze at the top and then coming back down. So, I mean, the pump was flawless, so something must have freaking happened. Something must have freaking happened. So let's kind of recount what the volume was made of. I think it was 3 sets of incline press, 1 set of pec flies, 3 of that machine. Okay, so 6 sets of pressing, 1 set of flies, and then 1 set of kind of lighter squeezing pressing with the cables. You know, that sounds about right. I think you're going to be able to do the most damage to your pecs, and by damage I mean good damage, with the heavy pressing. But in terms of like really getting a pump, getting some blood flow into the area, you know, stuff where you're going to get a real good stretch and squeeze like flies or some cable work, that's good for you too. And I would want to orient those movements more so towards at least the second half of the lift ish. I wouldn't want to start off with pec flies. For one thing, they're just too light, and I'd be able to just sit on the stack forever, at least in terms of reps. I mean, me fresh on that cable stack, I could foresee 50 reps. You know, you got to load your muscle with what it's capable of in the beginning of the workout. I feel like that's a pretty solid way to go about it, especially progressive overload style. That's that first set when I'm nice and fresh and strong. That's a pretty good indicator of my strength level. I really couldn't be, well, I guess it might bother me a little if I'm like extra weak, but at the end of the lift, I wouldn't mind maybe coming back to the incline bench and putting only 2 plates, even maybe a plate and a 25, and just kind of doing burnout reps. Maybe do like I don't know, maybe a superset of like 185 or 2 plates on incline bench and jumping straight onto pec deck. I think I was talking about it earlier. The supersets and the drop sets, I'm starting to think that it's just kind of extra fluff. Like sort of the way I think of my training is, or really anybody's training is, you should kind of give yourself some constraints to work within and then go as hard as possible within those. So, I don't go in, and I'm not saying this is the best method, but when I go into the gym, it's not like I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to do as many sets as I can. I'm just going to do as many sets as I can until I get a good pump, and then I'll call it. I limit myself. I do the 8 sets, and I kind of have a basic outline of the workout. Heavy pressing in the beginning, flies towards the end, burnouts, stuff like that. I limit myself to only those 8 sets, so I got to make sure that each of those sets, right, I'm pushing it to the limit, or at least as close as I can muster. If yeah, I couldn't really imagine going in and doing like a workout where I just didn't push myself on the sets, because I feel like I'd just be wasting my time. I'm in there with a purpose, at least during the actual workout. When I'm done with the lift and I'm, let's say I bring a shake too. I've said this before. I could sit in there for an hour and a half, because I'm not going to go out to the bars at night. That's my social hour. That's where all my boys are. So, maybe I'm the asshole for wanting to talk to them while they're lifting, but I probably wouldn't want to do too much talking when I'm lifting. But in between sets, nothing wrong with a little chatting. But if it gets to the point where you're losing your pump, you're not maintaining a sweat, right? That's a little bit too much. If you're talking for more than 5 minutes between sets, and even 5 minutes is probably a bit excessive, then what are you doing in there? I'm not prone to like agitation in the gym. Like if everything's busy, I'll just find my own stuff, or I'll like pick a new movement, whatever. It's not like I'm gonna think, oh crap, everybody's on my machines. Fuck, what are you doing on my machine? Like, I'm not really thinking that. But I was kind of starting to lose my mind a little bit on the beginning of the in my warm up, because I'm doing cable stuff just to get my triceps warm, rear delts, some rowing action, shit like that. Fuck, these guys were sitting on the cables, just standing there for, like, I was probably waiting for 10-ish minutes, and I saw one dude just standing in front of the cable for 10 minutes. It's like, come on, man, let me use some shit. What are you gonna do? But didn't let that stop me from having a good lift. Not even a little. I hope the audio doesn't get too messed up from the rain. Plan now is to, I don't know, fuck man, just go back to the crib, eat some food. A little bit of traffic now. Let's just pull up the macros and see what we're at. So it's 5:30. I've had 130 grams of protein, 65 grams of fat. I kind of overshot that. 192 grams of carbs. So it looks like I've got mainly protein left, 120 grams worth. I'm sure when I get home, I'll just probably make a big omelet or something like that. I'm not going to want to just drink a protein shake, because that's not going to be filling. My whole deal with food, just in general, if I were to like condense my approach to it, is, I care about the macros. Macros are what are going to translate to actual tangible results. If I sit here and eat 5,000 calories of, chicken and rice, guess what? I'm still going to get fat. Well, I'm still going to gain weight. And if I sit here and eat 1,500 calories worth of sweets, I'm still going to lose weight. Because it's all about just thermodynamics and how much energy that food has to offer you. I'm not saying that fucking donuts are a 1-to-1 equivalent to rice, but in terms of gaining and losing weight, it's all about the calories. But there is definitely a second level of complexity to that when it comes to how filling this food is. Because if I were to go home, I mean, I could just make a 600 calorie shake, like, 4 Reese's cups, 4 scoops of protein, and maybe some of that cluster dextrin. Blend that up. I mean, that could be like 1,000 calorie shake, and it would maybe make me feel full for like an hour. Right? So I want to eat foods like fucking actual proteins. Like I've got nothing against protein powder. I love it, but it's not very filling. It's just a way to get protein in an easier way. So when I'm bulking and I'm eating a ton of food, like tons of carbs and fats, then I'd be more prone to eat protein shakes throughout the day. But now that I'm trying to make sure that everything I eat makes me as full as possible, then I mean, I'll have a protein shake post workout. That's it. Or maybe if I'm like in a pinch and I can't prep some food. Like, I think I said this earlier. I actually felt kind of like a real bodybuilder because when I went to class today, I packed some steak and then a pack of Ben's instant rice. It was cheddar broccoli. Honestly, I really should get some. You can get like, I don't know what it is. It's like basically mashed potatoes. Well, it's like imitation mashed potatoes, but it's made with like cauliflower. So it's like a whole little like bowl, like a cup worth of mashed potatoes, quote unquote. But it's only like maybe 10 grams of carbs. Something like that paired with the protein, like steaks or chicken, that would be pretty good. Or fish. I've got some cod sitting in the fridge. It's good until like a week from now, so I'll make sure I cook that. Maybe I'll do that tonight. Maybe I'll freaking do that tonight. Cardio in the morning. I've got a solid 30 minutes planned. Seated bike as always. I really just can't relate to you guys when you talk smack on the cardio, and even just anybody. Cardio is just a good move. It's an objectively good thing for you to do. So if you were potentially, I'm not gonna say you should, even though you should. If you were to potentially implement it into your routine, I think you'd have nothing but benefits. Like sure, it's got a time cost, but let's say the quickest method possible, you have a little seated bike at the kitchen at home, like I do, which I mean, Facebook Marketplace, $50, just a half hour in the morning, right? But Sam, I don't have a half hour. All right, man, shit. I don't really believe you, but whatever. Like, everybody's got a half hour. Come on. And it's probably good for you to wake up early anyway. Of course, I say that, but then, I wake up at like 9. It depends on what I have to do that day. So, I gotta get back home, try not to crash in the rain. I need some new fucking tires. My tires are getting kind of bald. They've got a little bit of tread left, but yeah, that's what I got to do this weekend. I got to get my fucking tires replaced. And other than that, man, same old, same old. Schoolwork. Actually, that's really all I'm dealing with right now. Some schoolwork. I just implemented my classic study habit of finishing a project the night before it was due. This is giving me a flashback to an earlier video. I'm not saying it's the best method, but if you wait until the last minute, then it only takes a minute. That is terrible advice. Don't listen to that. Alright, I'm going to focus on driving, and I had a good lift. I did my cardio. In an ideal world, all of you guys can say that exact same thing. So, I will see you next time.